أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نيابة الياء عن الكسرة. So we are talking about jar or khafd, where the basic sign is kasra. The basic mark that a word would take for you to see that it is majroor or mahfud is kasra. And we've said that that is the primary symbol or primary sign. But there are secondary signs, and among them is yai. So at this point, where yai takes the place of kasra as the sign of khafd, the cases where yai replaces kasra. Okay, so Swad, the text of AL-AJRUMIYYA, Imam ibn al-Ajrum's words, he says, وَأَمَّا الْيَاءُ فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً لِلْخَفْضِ. As for ya, it becomes a sign for khafd في ثلاثة مواضع, in three places, that is in three types of words. في الأسماء الخمسة, in the 5 names or 5 nouns. وفي التثنية, and in dual. والجمع, and plural. So al-asma al-khamsa has been explained already, though he will still highlight it here. And then also the dual has been explained, but still I'm sure he will highlight it. And then the jam'. So in the sharh, Imam says, يقول الياء تكون علامة للخفض في 3 مواضع. ما هي? What are these 3 places? And he says الأسماء الخمسة والتثنية والجمع. Just a recap, a repetition of it. الأسماء الخمسة, explaining أسماء الخمسة, says يشترط فيها ما يشترط في رفعها بالواو. It is a condition. The conditions of the Asma al-Khamsa in terms of its raf'u is the same conditions that applies here in terms of it being majroor. We said that Asma al-Khamsa are only considered Asma al-Khamsa and to be made marfu by waw when the Asma, we gave some points. And we said, shurutuha sittatun, as he is bringing here, its conditions are 6. And takuna mufradatan, the asma al-khamsa, it should be singular. So if you had abuhu or abuke, abuhu is his father. The father is singular here. The moment you turn father to plural, it's no more asma al-khamsa. When you say abauhu or abauka, you've made it your fathers. When it becomes plural, it has left the asma al-khamsa. So all of them, before they are treated as asma al-khamsa and made marfu by waw, they have to be singular, and it should also be mukabbara. That is, it shouldn't have undergone tasgir, where we say akhun, a brother. If you make it small, you say ukhay. Ukhay is a small brother, and akhun is brother on the normal. So that is the mukabbaratun. So he says, antakuna mufradatan, singular, wa mukabbaratan, and it should be in its original form. Mudafatan li ghayri ya'i al-mutakallim. It should be mudaf. That is, it should be in the possessive case, as we are doing with abuka, akhuka, hamuka, and all that. We connect it to a pronoun to create a possessive case. Your father, my father, and all that. But here he says that it shouldn't be joined to ya il-mutakallim. Ya il-mutakallim is where I say my. Now if I say abi, this ab is no more part of the asma al-khamsa. If I say akhi, it is not part of the asma al-khamsa. It should be akhuka, akhuhu, akhuhum, something like that instead. But the moment it is connected with ya al-mutakallim, the ya of the first person, then it leaves the asma al-khamsa treatment. It is no more considered as part of the asma al-khamsa. And then also he says a part of the ruling is that the word fu, which refers to the mouth, should be khaliyatun min al-mim. We've already seen all this, but just a refresh. Fu means mouth. And we know that the word for mouth, the popular word is fam. Famuka. So we say maybe famuka, your mouth. Famuhu, his mouth. Fami, my mouth. So he said that the fu, the mouth word that is part of the Asma al-Khamsa, should not be the one with the meme. It should be the one with waw. Fuka. Okay. And he says again, dhu. The dhu is also part of the Asma al-Khamsa, but the dhu should mean bimana sahib. It should mean sahib, i.e. the one who has something, the owner of something. So if I say dhu malin, the dhu here should be giving the meaning of somebody who has money, i.e. sahib al-mal. Okay, if dhu doesn't mean that, because as he explained to us, dhu sometimes is used by these people to show dhalik. Okay. So he says, فَالشُّرُوطُ الَّتِي سَبَقَتْ عِنْدَ رَفْعِهَا, the rulings or the conditions that we've already seen in the case in is being raf'u bil waw, by waw. If you go back to the waw, you realize that if you go back to the raf'u, you realize that among the signs of raf'u, there is niyabatul waw and dhamma. Okay, so under niyabatul waw and dhamma, you see that the mawadi, the places where waw takes the place of dhamma, is in asma'ul khamsa. And asma'ul khamsa, under that we treated these 6 conditions, that the word has to fulfill these 6 conditions before it is given the treatment of asma'ul khamsa. And he is saying here that فَالشُّرُوطُ الَّتِي سَبَقَتْ عِنْدَ رَفْعِهَا بِالْوَاوِ, the conditions that we've already spoken about in or where we made it marfu by waw, la budda an ta'tiya huna. Those conditions must come here. فَمَتَى رُفِعَتِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْخَمْسَةُ بِالْوَاوِ. So when the 5 nouns are made marfu with waw, jurrat bil yai, they are made majrur by yai. So the moment it fulfills the conditions and it is made marfu by waw, then that means that in the same vein, when it is majrur, it should be made majrur by yai. So if I say abuka, the abu here is singular and it is also not mudaf to a yai mutakallim. It is not abi. So abuka is marfu and the sign is waw. In that case, then if I should say ila, I will say abika. I'll make it majrur by yai because it has fulfilled the rules. Okay, so he says here, قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, ارجعوا إلى أبيكم. جرت بماذا? He says, ارجعوا إلى أبيكم, return to your father. And he's asking us, جرت بماذا? أبيكم here is made majrur by what? What is the sign? He says, بالياء لأنها من الأسماء الخمسة. It is made majrur by yai because it is part of the 5 nouns. So we see إلى أبيكم, not abukum, not abakum. إلى أبيكم. So we say أبيكم, أبي اسم مجرور وعلامة جره الياء نيابة عن الكسرة لأنه من الأسماء الخمسة. As simply as that. Okay. He says again, قال هل آمنكم عليه إلا كما أمنتكم على أخيه. So he said, should I trust him to you? Should I trust him to you, except by how you forced me to trust his brother to you? Okay, so he is talking about trusting Bunyamin to the Sayyidina Yusuf's brothers. Should I trust this young one to you as you forced me to trust Yusuf to you and you didn't fulfill? Okay, he says, جرت بالياء لأنها من الأسماء الخمسة. The akhi here, you remember, is part of the asma al-khamsa. The last word, ala, it says ala akhihi, not akhuhu, not akhahu. Because there is harf jar before it, it should come majrur. And we've learned that asma al-khamsa tujarru bil ya'i niyabatan an al-kasra. Okay, so he says ala akhihi. So akhi here also you say ism majrur wa alamatu jarrihi al-ya li'annahu min al-asma' al-khamsa. Okay. And it says again in the Quran, idhabu fatahassasu min Yusufa wa akhihi. Akhihi again, because of the min. It says min Yusufa wa akhihi. Jurrat bil yai. Here too it has been made majrur by yai. لأنها من الأسماء الخمسة, because it is part of the 5 nouns. Okay. Now an example from, as I've said, there are always ash-shawahid, that is the plural of ash-shahid. When we say ash-shahid, we mean we are bringing something from the poem, we are bringing something from the Quran or hadith to support it. Though not so much of hadith. In using the hadith as a shahid, there are so much rulings. The hadith should be through a pure Arab, and the hadith should be transmitted not with meaning but with text. There are a lot of complications there which, inshallah, going ahead we might come to understand. Okay. Says قال لهم أبوهم إن أباكم يحب أن تبروا بأبيكم. He just wanted to use the abu word in all its 3 cases. That is in its rafu, in its nasb, and in its jar. So the 3 cases, abu here will come as marfu, it will come as mansub, and then it will come as majrur. This example I think is very beautiful, so because it exposes us to all the forms, all the shapes it will take. Okay, so we have first of all abuhum. Says ja'at. Okay, the meaning of the sentence, qala lahum abuhum, their father said to them, inna abakum, verily your father, yuhibbu an tabarru, likes that you act kind or you obey bi abikum, your father. Okay, abuhum ja'at bil waw. The first one came with waw, li'annaha fa'ilun marfu, because it is fa'il and it is marfu. As we've already said, fa'il is always marfu. And since it is marfu, and we've learned that asma'ul khamsatu turfa'u bil waw, then we can't say qala lahum abahum, we can't say qala lahum abihim. No, it will have to be qala lahum abuhum. Okay, so it says لأنها فاعل مرفوع والأسماء الخمسة ترفع بالواو نيابة عن الضمة. The 5 nouns are made marfu by waw, replacing dhamma. And then wa abakum. Abakum came mansuba. It came mansubatun. That is in the accusative case. Bi inna. Inna caused it to come. When inna precedes a noun, we know that the noun should end in the accusative case. Like I say, innal walada, innal ustadha. So it should end in the accusative case. So it says, inna abakum. Okay. It says, wa abikum majruratun. So if you are going to do the grammatical analysis for abakum, you say abakum ismu inna mansub. Abakum ismu inna mansub. Wa alamatu nasbihi al-alif. لأنه من الألف نيابة عن الفتحة لأنه من الأسماء الخمسة. Basically so. Okay, it says وَأَبِيكُمْ مَجْرُورَةٌ بِالْيَاءِ. Abikum came majrura because we have bi abikum. Majruratun bil ya'i. It came majrura with ya. لأن الأسماء الخمسة لأن الأسماء الخمسة Okay. لأن الأسماء الخمسة تنصب بالألف وتجر بالياء. Because the 5 nouns, they are made mansub with alif and they are made majrur by ya. Okay. لو قال قائل, if someone should say قال لهم أباهم إن أبوكم يحب أن تبروا بأباكم, a whole mess. خطأ, this is wrong. لكن ليعلم أن بعض العرب يلزم الأسماء الخمسة الألف دائما. Okay, this is a very important note here he has given us. He said we should know that some Arab, they always make Asma al-Khamsa, they always keep it with alif. So you see, قال أباكم, إن أباكم, ذهبت إلى أباكم. هم بعض العرب يلزمون الأسماء الخمسة الألف. They always keep it with alif. They let it stay with alif. فيقول, and they say, قال أباكم إن أباكم يحب أن تبروا بأباكم. وعلى هذا قول الشاعر. And on this note, a poet said, so basically some of the Arabs, they always keep it as abakum, akhakum. The asma al-khamsa, they always keep it with alif. Okay. So the poet said, inna abaha wa aba abaha. So you see the last abaha should have come wa aba abiha, because it's mudaf ilay, which we will come to explain thoroughly inshallah. Mudaf ilay should come with yai. It should be inna abaha wa aba abiha. But because this poet is part of the Arabs who always make the Asma al-Hamsa come with alif, he said, inna abaha, surely her father, wa aba abaha, and the father of her father, qad balaga, had indeed reached fil majdi, in honor, gayataha, its apex. They've reached the apex of honor. Okay, basically so. إذن تكون الياء, then يا علامة للخفض في ثلاثة مواضع. يا is a sign for خفض in 3 cases. في الأسماء الخمسة بالشروط السابقة الستة. يا becomes a sign for jar or خفض in 3 cases, 3 types of words. The first of it is al-asma al-khamsa, and it should follow the 6 conditions should apply. وفي التثنية نقول فيها ما قلنا في رفعها بالألف. And in dual, the same conditions we talked about when we talk about it being marfu with alif applies here. فيشمل المثنى وما يلحق به. And so we did something about the dual and its affiliated or associated group. Those words that affiliate with the dual, like ithnain. We said ithnain is not really dual in Arabic. The word for 2 is not really dual, but it is mulhaq. It is associated or affiliated to the dual. So we treat it as the dual. And so here, when you make yai the sign for jar in a dual word, it affects the original muthanna, original dual, and it affects the mulhaq bil muthanna, those that are affiliated with the dual. Okay. Fatakul, so you say, marartu birajulaini, I passed by 2 guys. Birajulaini ithnaini, I passed by 2 guys. Watakulu ra'aytu rajulaini ithnaini, I saw the 2 guys. Okay. Sawabun am khata, is this right or wrong? And he says sawabun, لأن المثنى, because the dual, yunsabu bil yai, it is made mansub by yai. وتقول مررت بالرجلين كليهما. We talked about kila when we talked about mansub, and we said the kila word is mulhaq bil musanna, it is affiliated to the dual. If that concept is a bit down, you can just refer back inshallah and get it clear. Okay, so it says لأن المثنى ينصب بالياء, because the dual is made mansub by yai. وتقول, and you say مررت بالرجلين كليهما, I passed by the 2 men. كليهما here comes to confirm as emphasis, like I really passed by the 2 guys, both of the 2 guys, something like that. صحيح, this is right. مررت بالرجلين كلاهما, I passed by the 2 guys. If you say كلاهما, خطأ, this is wrong. لأنه ملحق بالمثنى, because the killer word is affiliated to the dual. And so if the dual has been said to be rajulaini, has been given yai, then instead of the word being rajulani, because of the B, it came birrajulaini. Then is the kilayhima that is coming to qualify it should also come kilayhima. It shouldn't come kilahuma. Okay. It says لأنه ملحق بالمثنى, because it is affiliated to the dual. فَتُجَرُّ بِالْيَاءِ, and so it should be made majrur by yai. And to the last one, he says, because we have al-asma'ul khamsa, and then we have at-tathniya, that is muthanna, and then we have al-jamu, that is the three. Okay, so he says وَالْمُرَادُ بِالْجَمْعِ هُنَا. The author Ibn al-Ajrum, he said al-jamu, because as we've always been saying, they do the books with what we call a lot of rumuz. Rumuz means symbols. But by symbols, we don't mean that you see some designs in the book. No, when we say a book, the book has a lot of symbols. Or it contains يشتمل على كثير من الرموز. هذا الكتاب يشتمل على كثير من الرموز. That is, it contains a lot of symbols. In our sense, we mean that it has a lot of lockups, a lot of things that you need to be explained to, else you will understand it in its generality, though there are signs for you not to understand it to be general. One of them is the jamu. The author, because he was doing a summarized book, and he knows the book is supposed to be explained by people who are qualified, and he knows they know what to say. They won't take the jamu to be just every jamu. They will know which jamu we are talking about. So Imam here is trying to open it to us. What does the author mean by al-jamu? Okay, so he says, وَالْمُرَادُ بِالْجَمْعِ هُنَا, and what we intend by saying al-jamu here is jam'ul mudhakkar salim, is the sound masculine plural alone. وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى أَنَّهُ الْمُرَاد, and the proof that jam'u mudhakkar salim is the one intended, قَوْلُهُ فِي الْأَوَّلِ, the same author's Ibn al-Ajrum's words, قَوْلُهُ فِي الْأَوَّلِ, his words in the beginning, جمع التكسير يخفض بالكسرة. جمع التكسير is made majrur by kasra. He has already made this known that جمع التكسير, if it's majrur, it takes kasra. So جمع التكسير is out. إذن فالمراد بالجمع هنا, then what is intended by جمع here is جمع مذكر السالم. Okay. لو قال قائل, if somebody should say إنه جمع مؤنث, if somebody should say it is جمع مؤنث instead, that is intended. Okay. Okay. إنه جمع مؤنث فما الدليل على أنه جمع مذكر. Somebody should tell us that, oh, the author just said al-jamu. Okay, you've successfully taken out jamu taksir. Then it can be jamu muannas salim. So what is your proof that you are saying, no, this jamu here is definitely jamu mudhakkar as-salim? Okay. نقول, we will tell the person, سبق أن جمع مؤنث السالم يجر أو يجر بالكسرة. We will tell the person that سبق أن the writer himself has already told us that جمع مؤنث السالم يجر بالكسرة is made majrur by kasra. So if I say ذهبت إلى المسلمات, I will give it kasra. It says في السماوات. السماوات is جمع مؤنث. So if I say fis, I will say في السماوات. So since جمع التكسير is made majrur by kasra, جمع مؤنث salim is made majrur by kasra, then the yai one we are talking about here is for جمع المذكر السالم. That is the only option we are left with now. Okay. فيتعين أن المراد, so it becomes specific that the intended meaning of jam'u here is jam'ul muzakkar as-salim, jam'ul muzakkar as-salim. وَمَا أُلْحِقَ بِهِ أيضا, and what is affiliated to it, أي الملحق بالجمع المذكر السالم, which I'm sure we've already mentioned some things about. Okay. فتقول, so for example, you say مررت بالمسلمين, I passed by the Muslims. Okay. And then you say وتقول مررت برجلين هما من المسلمين, I passed by the two guys, both of whom are among the Muslims. إذن then جمع المذكر السالم وما ألحق به يجر بالياء. The jam'u sound masculine plural and its affiliated words that are affiliated to it, they are all made majrur by yai. قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, this is a shahid. Okay, as I said, it's a mithal, but specifically a shahid. Was a verse. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and earth and the alternation between the night and the day, لآيات لأولي الألباب, there are indeed signs for people who ponder, people who have sense. So uli here, he tells us, هذه ملحقة بجمع مذكر السالم. This word uli is affiliated to the Jam'u Muzakkar Salim. And when we say affiliated to it, that is, it takes the i'rab of the Jam'u Muzakkar Salim. Where Jam'u Muzakkar Salim is supposed to take waw, the mulhaq also take waw. Where it is supposed to take yai, the mulhaq will also take yai. It goes with it. Okay. وَكُلُّ مَا لَمْ تَتَوَافَرُ فِيهِ الشُّرُوطُ الْجَمْعِ, and anything that does not that is not in tandem with the conditions of the plural. We've already given some conditions of the plural. Anything that these conditions are not found in, تتوافر فيه, لم تتوافر فيه, the conditions are not found in it. Shurutul Jami, among them is that we said the word should basically point to something plural. That is basically, the word should point to something plural. Okay. And then also the word should have some additions. If it is something like rajul, and I say rijal, I've twisted the word a bit and I've gotten a jamu. If it is something like mudarris, I say mudarrisun, I've added a waw and nun to get plural. Now this is what we call original jamu. But anything that does not really point to plural and that also doesn't have some letters added to it to make the plural is mulhaq, is affiliated. Okay. So it says the uli word here, taking it from after the verse, right after the verse. Uli here, هذه ملحقة بجمع المذكر السالم. This is affiliated with the جمع مذكر السالم, sound masculine plural. وكل ما لم تتوافر فيه, and any word that does not have شروط الجمع, the conditions of the plural, وأعرب إعراب الجمع, and it is given the i'rab of the plural, فهو ملحق به. In that case, it is said to be ملحق بالجمع. هذا ضابط الملحق بجمع المذكر السالم. This is the ضابط, that is the rule, this is the ruling for the mulhaq. Any word that is not really jam'u but is giving the i'rab of jam'u is said to be mulhaq بالجمع. فمثل, he's giving us an example. Ulu ليس لها مفرد, it doesn't have singular. Okay. Ulu بمعنى أصحاب, لها مفرد من معناها صاحب. So the word ulu does not have a mufrad in its lafz, but it has a mufrad from the ma'nan, its meaning. There are words like that. Words like nisa. Nisa is women. It doesn't have a singular from its lafz. Its singular, you can say mar'a or imra'a. So the singular is from its meaning and not the lafz. We have words like that. Jam'uha min ma'anaha wa laysa min lafziha. Okay. So he says, لكن ليس لها مفرد من لفظها, but it doesn't have a singular from its own pronunciation. It doesn't have a singular from its own letters actually. Okay. Words like ishrun, ما تقولون فيها. Ishrun is also, what do we say about ishrun? Ishrun is also mulhaq. Why? Ishrun is plural. Somebody will say ishrun is plural and you will say it has the waw and nun. Okay. لأنه ليس لها مفرد من معناها. It doesn't have singular. The word 20, ishrun, does not have singular. And if it doesn't have singular, we don't consider that grammatically as jam'. In fiqh and in hadith and all that, they may consider it as jam'. But in lugha and our qawaid, we consider it to be mulhaq bil jam'il mudhakkar as-salim. And so we say, fi 20 amin. Fi 20 amin. في 20 عاما. Okay. So somebody will say, okay, كنت هناك ل20 عاما. Something like that. Just making. So it takes yai when it's supposed to be majrur. It takes waw when it's supposed to be marfu. And it takes the same yai when it's supposed to be mansub. ضربت 20 ولدا. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this particular session. It has a lot of technicalities. And for that matter, anything that is not so clear, inshallah, you ask for clarification. And then also the pages that we do not discuss is for reading. After discussing the lesson like this, that part, reading it is not so difficult. And so you just read on your own. And inshallah, if there's anything there that also has rumuz, has some symbols we need to open up, inshallah, then we do justice to that. Okay. So may Allah make our knowledge beneficial to the ummah at large. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima allamtana wa zidna ilman ya rabbal alamin. Ya Rabbi Musa wa Harun wa Isa wa Muhammadin Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. أكرمنا بقوة الحفظ